Hi, I'm Ananya. I'm a junior content manager with Trip 101. Today, joining me are Andre and Mara, and they are going to take us to a beautiful, rich country that's located in Central America. So today, we are going to talk on about Costa Rica, where Andre and Mara recently traveled, and we're going to hear on about their trip. I'm very, very pleased to welcome both of you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We are Marva,
And I'm Andre.
and we are honest travelers. We are a couple of travel bloggers based in Dubai. I am Romanian,
I'm Jeremy.
and we've been living in Dubai for over 15 years. And from here, we've been exploring quite a bit of the world. We've traveled to 41 countries together so far, and we have regular 9 to 5 jobs. So traveling is one of our passions, and we try to get away as much as we can on holidays or long weekends to explore the world. And yes, Costa Rica was one of our recent destinations. We traveled there in April, and it was such an amazing holiday, a beautiful country, and we're excited to share the trip with you.
Tell me a little bit about your blog that you run, Honest Travelers, it's called, right?
Yes, it's called Honest Traveler. We started it a few years ago because we wanted to share our experiences with our family and friends. We usually get asked a lot of questions about where we travel and what we recommend to see and where should people go. So it's easier for us to just send them links to our blogs.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that you started your blog to share it with your family and friends. And I'm sure you have a wider audience now who connects with your stories and gets inspired by your travels.
Yes, we plan to revamp a bit our blogs. It's going to be updated soon, but we are more active on our Instagram handle, so Honest Travelers, where we post regularly from our trips and we share our stories as we go along. And we try to also provide some useful information for people that follow us.
And that's how we found you. So great going on that. So you said that you have 9 to 5 jobs and you travel on the side, like whenever you have your vacation days.
Yeah, we use long weekends. Sometimes we have public holidays. So we club public holidays with weekends. We just recently came back from Kazakhstan. We spent 4 days there. We have 30 days of leave that we use to travel. And we take short leaves, 1 week at a time. We club it Christmas, with New Year's Eve celebrations. And we try to extend as much as possible the number of trips that we can take during the year.
Yeah. So how many are you able to do in a year?
For instance, this year, we end up 7, 8 countries. We've been to Norway, Panama, Costa Rica. We've been to Italy, to Romania, Kazakhstan. We are flying next week to Zambia, Malawi. We are planning Cambodia and Laos in December.
Yeah, if you're able to cover 7 to 8 countries in a year, then yeah, you'll be finishing up the list of all countries pretty soon.
We try to. Obviously, we've got a very long bucket list of countries that we want to visit. And we're trying to do destinations where we haven't been before, but we also like traveling to places that, for instance, we've been before, but we really enjoyed. And then, of course, we also have to fit in every year a travel to each of our countries to see families. We try to make the most of the days that we've got.
Let's go and
How it's possible to travel full-time jobs, because a lot of people we noticed they save up their leave to travel maybe once or twice a year, especially here in Dubai. Majority of the people are expats, so they come from other countries and they usually go back to their own countries whenever they have a holiday. So we want to also encourage people to explore and travel and see the world and see other countries where they wouldn't have thought to go before.
So what about Costa Rica? Like, how did you decide on traveling there?
I have a colleague that lives in Costa Rica and just recently moved, and it was bragging about the country. We have friends that have been to Costa Rica. We watched documentaries. There was Expo here in Dubai, and we were introduced to the beauty of Costa Rica, the pavilion. So when we decided to go on the other side of the ocean, the first country that came to mind is Costa Rica. We need to definitely go there.
Okay, yeah, it helps to know someone from there.
Yeah. We also wanted to explore something that was quite easily accessible. We knew that Costa Rica is quite a tourist destination, so the infrastructure is very well equipped to handle tourists. And it's also a very varied country. So you have so many things to do and to see within a very small country. So we thought we combined it with our trip to Panama. We also have a friend who lives there, a couple of friends actually. So we did 1 week in Panama and 1 week in Costa Rica.
That's cool. So you went in April. Oh, that's what you mentioned earlier, right? Yeah. So was 1 week enough to cover Costa Rica, like all the spots that you wanted to see?
I think that it deserves more than 1 week. There are so many things to do. We were a bit in a rush, so we stayed 3 days in La Fortuna, 2 days in Monteverde, 2 days in Manuel Antonio. We felt we could have stayed a bit longer in each place. Plus,
Mhm.
there are many more things to see and do. You can easily stay 2 or 3 weeks. We met a couple that stayed 1 month in the area, and still they didn't manage to see everything. So, yes, 1 week is enough to have a glimpse, to scratch the surface of the country, but better enough for a longer stay.
And while we'll discuss it in more detail later on, if I ask you to quickly say what was it that you liked most about Costa Rica, what would you say?
But
Yeah, and yeah, the diversity in general, in terms of not just biodiversity, but also the landscape diversity, the activities that you can do are so diverse. Anything from adventure and adrenaline junkie,
I
all the way to just chilling by the beach and getting a suntan. So there's so much to do.
I think just by thinking about all that you did is making you quite excited, and I can say that.
Yeah, we'd go back in a heartbeat if it wasn't so far.
I'd love to know how was the over there when you went.
we were lucky because the week that we sang Costa Rica, it rained only 1 day. But then the rain, like poor, but you need to keep in mind that it's called the rainforest for a reason, because there's rain. So we were pretty lucky. We enjoyed the sun. We got the sun back. And our recommendation is go with a swimsuit, but keep with you also.
So was it raining in the 1 week that you were there? Was it raining heavily or
One
less
day,
on?
one
Oh,
day
one.
while we were hiking the volcano in La Fortuna, and it started raining, and it was like heavy rain. But we had our poncho. We stopped just at the moment that it was raining, and then we continued. Pura vida, as they say in Costa Rica, go with the flow. It rains, enjoy the rain.
Okay.
And April is, let's say, towards the end of the good season. Let's say the summer or the rain last season. So we were lucky that we only had 1 day of rain. But it is a good time to go because it's not very hot. The weather otherwise was quite pleasant. We managed to enjoy the sun at the beach, and we didn't really mind a few raindrops here and there.
And how was it like? Did you enjoy the weather over there? Like apart from the rainy day that you had?
Especially in Monteverde, the air was crisp. You can feel the energy of the forest. The air is very high in oxygen. And it's something that we don't have usually here in Dubai because it's a desert climate. So we really loved it. We
Mm.
slept like babies. Temperature in the evening goes slightly down. So it's pleasant. It's chill. It was really lovely.
That's great. Must have been a welcome change for you, especially traveling from Dubai. Did you go to Panama first, or did you go to Costa Rica first? Were you like flying from Dubai to Costa Rica?
We did Dubai to Istanbul. We flew with Turkish Airlines, and we were happy with this. It's actually the first time that we took a Turkish in this longer flight. And from Istanbul, we flew to Panama, and we use Panama as a hub. So we traveled to Costa Rica using Copa Airlines, and then
Okay.
came back to Panama. We stayed 2 days in Panama, then we came back to Dubai.
So you flew in and out of Panama and then traveled to Costa Rica from Panama. So what was your first stop in Costa Rica when you landed up there?
We landed in San Jose, but we didn't visit the city. We went straight to La Fortuna. A driver picked us up from the airport and took us straight to La Fortuna, where we checked into our hotel, and from there, we explored the Arenal volcano area in La Fortuna for a few days. And then we moved to Monteverde for another 2 days. And from there, we went to Manuel Antonio Park in the south for the last 2 days.
Which of these three locations did you enjoy the most?
Good question. We loved all of them. Probably Algeria, La Fortuna, because of the diversity of the landscape and also the wide range of activities that we were able to do there, from hiking bridges, hiking volcanoes, going down to waterfalls, rafting. So we did a lot of things. But Manuel Antonio was also very nice.
Sounds like a lot of fun activities are available in the La Fortuna area.
Absolutely.
So you were able to pack in all of these activities within 2 days: hiking, rafting.
The day was packed. Basically, early morning, wake up, go to the day tour. For instance, the rafting was in the morning, arrive at the hotel at 3 p.m., do something else. So the days are really packed. You can do 2 or 3 activities in the same day. And basically, you use the hotel just for some relaxation and sleeping.
We like to pack our holidays. Usually, we hardly ever take holidays where we just go and rent. We try to make the most of our days there, and we try to pack them to the minute. I think the busiest day was probably the second day, where we started with a hike on the Arenal volcano. And from there, we went to the Mystico Park, where we did the hanging bridges. We walked through the rainforest. And then from there, we went to the La Fortuna waterfall. So that was a very packed day. And we still had time to go and explore some of our hot springs in the hotel at the end of the day.
So you did all your activities and then came back and relaxed. How was it to look upon the Arenal volcano?
That was an incredible scene, especially we picked them that offered us a very beautiful view from our room table. We would sit there, sip our tea, and watch the volcano with the clouds on the top. You could feel the energy of the volcano. It was a beautiful experience. One advice that we would give, if you stay a few days and you want to maximize, pick an hotel that offers a beautiful view of the volcano, because it's really important. You wake up with the volcano is there. You go to bed, the volcano is there. It's really enjoyable.
And which of the other activities did you enjoy a lot, apart from just admiring the volcano view from your room and everywhere
The
else?
rafting fun. Rafting was we drove maybe 30 minutes from the hotel. We reached the Balsa River and we did around 1 hour of rafting. And it was really a lot of fun. You are in nature, but it's quite easy, not too challenging. You can tell the tour operator which kind of rafting you want to do, which was something that is intermediate level. So you have time to look at the nature. You need to work out a bit because you need to push the boat, and a lot of fun. That was really enjoyable. And the hike on the volcano was also nice. And as Mara said, Mystico Arenal was wow. Walking on the hanging bridges on top of the canopy of the forest was a really rewarding experience.
Wild animals like poisonous snakes and frogs and all sorts of birds.
No, what was much.
This was during when you were walking through the hanging bridges?
Yes.
What about the rafting? Was it just the two of you, or were you with a group when you were rafting?
We were a group of 6 people in the boat, and we were strangers to each other. But the beauty of the rafting and the people in Costa Rica is that with strangers, they make you feel like a family. Treating everyone in a special way. And we were all working together in the boat. We had so much fun together. I loved it. I don't know if Mara agrees.
Initially, we're planning to do like private tours because we like to travel by ourselves. But thinking back, it's also helpful like you have more people in the boat paddling, so you don't have to do all the work yourself. Yeah, and I also took a dip in the river, so there was a part where we could actually jump out of the boat and swim a bit. So we were lucky that there were people in the boat that helped me to pull me back in. Otherwise, it would have been a bit of a struggle for me to.
I like that part about drafting the best when you take a dip.
Yeah.
So which level did you pick? Was it the challenging one or the easy
Well,
one that you took?
so it was intermediate.
Mm.
It was challenging. They say 2, 3 spots that were a bit challenging.
Mm.
Otherwise, it was really enjoyable.
It was the right mix between challenging but also relaxing. So we were having some periods, for instance, where we could just put our paddles in and just go with the flow of the river, enjoy the scenery. And then a few times where you actually had to paddle really fast through the rapids. It was
That
great.
sounds like a lot of fun. And then was this the day or were you able to go back each on both the days and relax at the hot springs at your hotel?
We were lucky because we picked their own hot springs. So we simply went back to the hotel and jumped in the hot spring and relaxed. You walk for the day, you will enjoy these thermal waters, very relaxing. And so then we had dinner. We were happy because China had an extensive vegan menu. It's not always easy to find vegetarian vegan options in hotels. And the team at the top was amazing. Whenever they saw a slot or an animal, they would take us with their binocular. Come, I show you, there's a slot in the perimeter. They would take us with the chart. Amazing. Everyone in Costa Rica would say they were really customer oriented. That's what we like the most. Everyone was really paying attention to details to make our stay more enjoyable possible. So that is an additional reason to visit Costa Rica.
A good stay definitely like is a must during like any travel. So I'm glad that you had a good experience as far as that was concerned. Then what was your next stop after La Fortuna?
So after we drove to Monteverde, which is about 3 hours drive, you can actually take a boat and cross the lake to get to Monteverde. But because we did the rafting in the morning, by the time we got back to the hotel to check out and go to Monteverde, the last boat had already left. So we had to drive around the lake, which was quite a bumpy road, especially the last part driving through the Monteverde area. The roads are quite unkept. It's like a dirt road. So you definitely need a 4x4. It's quite bumpy. And then we just reached there in the evening. We checked into our Airbnb and we got, bed and breakfast. And we were there just in time to see the beautiful sunset. The bed and breakfast where we were staying at, it's called the Bed Rose, had a location that was essentially on a hill. And they had a little lookout spot. You just climbed up the hill. And it was the most amazing sunset that we saw on the trip.
We did spent an entire day in Salvatura Park. It's again a park inside a forest, hanging bridges, zip lines. They have a slot sanctuary. We had so much fun. The zip lining in the forest was magical. It's fantastic.
So after that bumpy ride, you were rewarded with a good sunset and then and fun activity.
We spent essentially one full day in the park. We went first to do the zip lines. So there's about 13 zip lines in a circuit, and you get from one to the next through the forest. The longest one is 1 kilometer. And you actually do it in a tandem. So we did it together because usually on a zip line you go by yourself, but the last one, the longest one, was a tandem. So we were attached to each other.
That's nice.
And then from there we did the hanging bridges tour, which is a series of about 7 bridges, all of different lengths. And it's beautiful because you get to see the trees from the
Yeah.
top. So walking above the canopy of the forest. And as opposed to, let's say, La Fortuna, where we were walking through a rainforest, this was a cloud forest because it's higher up in the mountain. So it's a different climate. It's a different, even the biodiversity there is different from what we saw in the rainforest. But maybe the most special encounters were in their sloth sanctuary. So they actually have a sloth sanctuary where they rescue sloths and they rehabilitate them or they keep them there if they can't release them back in the wild. and we got to see them feeding and sleeping and slowly crawling from one to another. And they also have a butterfly garden and a reptile garden as well. So you get to see a lot of these animals.
Yeah, so you can really enjoy and view like a lot of wildlife over there while you're there.
Yes.
Must have been fun.
Yeah, we loved it. Zip line was probably one of the most fun things we've done.
Did you click pictures with the slots?
Of course.
And
We even have some selfies with them. You're not allowed to get close to them or to touch them. There are some centers, for instance, where we understand that people can go and hold the slot, but that's actually not good for the slot. They need to have these interactions. So I appreciated the fact that in Salvatore Park, they actually have guided tours that you need to go with. So you can't go by yourself, and there's always somebody around making sure that you're keeping your distance and the slots are well protected as well.
yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that they need to be given their space too.
We
That,
also saw quite a few of them in the wild as well.
oh, so that was your one day in Monteverde.
Yes.
And then what was ahead? What lay ahead for you?
We took a long drive, around 4 hours, to reach Manuel Antonio. And Manuel Antonio was the most beautiful park we have ever seen in terms of biodiversity. Even though it's very small in size, we saw so much like plants, animals, crabs,
Lizards,
Lizards,
monkeys,
pythons, deer.
sun, the deer. It was also very beautiful in terms of the landscape because it's also situated on a hill, but at the same time, you have the most pristine beaches. And actually, one of the beaches in the park, it's called Manuel Antonio Beach, was voted in the top 25 most beautiful beaches in the world. So you have the the advantage of seeing obviously the park, and you walk through nature and you can do some hikes, but at the same time you can also go and do some beach hopping in some of the most beautiful beaches we've ever seen.
Oh, wow. So is it also like a guided tour that you have to do at Manuel Antonio?
Antonio, we booked through an agency, the park guided tour. So it's an official guided tour. One
Okay.
thing you need to keep in mind, when you approach the park, you will be stopped by many people pretending to be official guides. These people, they are not official guides. They will charge you 5, 6, 10 times more, and they don't have the same quality. The actual rangers of the park are inside the park. And we saw, we had our guide just for us. We were 2 people, and this person was holding 2 degrees in biology or whatever. It was so knowledgeable. He picked the animals that were hiding in the canopy, explained everything to us, the ecosystem, climate change, the impact of human behavior, while the others had just someone with a binocular saying, oh, look, there's an animal, take a photo. So very important. Don't trust people stopping you at the parking in Manuel Antonio. Go for the official guides.
And go without a guide. So the park is open to visitors as well who go there just for the beaches, for instance. So for people that are staying for several days or a week or more in the area, what tends to happen is maybe they'll do one of the tours of the park, but then for the rest of the days, they will just come and spend the time at the beaches because they're just so beautiful. However, we do recommend to get a guide because they have the ability to spot wildlife that you wouldn't otherwise see, especially to the untrained eye. If you look in
Yeah.
the trees, you might not see anything, or you might miss a sloth hiding or a bird. So we definitely recommend going there with a guide. And then the tour lasts about, I would say, 2 or 3 hours. And then you also get the chance to explore by yourself. So what we did is the beginning, we did the tour through the park. And then after the tour ended, you can stay for the rest of the day. So we hiked up to one of the lookout points, and then we did some beach hopping. So we explored about 4 of the beaches in the park. And you just need to make sure to leave because the park closes at 4. So the last people have to leave the beach by 3 o'clock to be able to get out.
No, it makes a lot of sense that, yeah, you first take the guided tour and then you're free to explore on your own once you've acquired that little bit of knowledge from the guide as well, that what's the lay of the land, how to look at things.
Exactly, especially because there are some poisonous trees. So we found out that there was a species of tree in the park that is among the top most poisonous in the world. So if you touch the leaves of that tree, you can actually die. So very good information to have to know what tree not to touch. Of course, we were so sure we learned that we didn't touch any trees.
And how did you find the beaches? You were able to explore four of them. Were they one of the beaches that was in the top 25 list as well?
Yes, absolutely. So we saved that one for the last, saved the best for last. There were quite a few beaches that were quite empty. So even though the park is full of people, because a lot of them come to do these group tours, once you go by yourself to explore the beaches, especially if you go to the ones that are, let's say, more secluded, so not so easily accessible for people, you'll find that you're more or less on your own or very few people around. And the the beaches are very beautiful. So it's no wonder that it was voted among the top most beautiful beaches in the world.
That's so cool. Yeah. And so the park then closes at 4, and that's when you leave. You can't even go to the beaches after that.
No. So you can actually go. What we did was after we left the park, we then headed out to the beach that is just next to the park. So it's essentially similar to the beach, the longest beach that you have in the park, but it's outside of the park.
That's
And we spent some time there just to enjoy the last moments of sun before we headed back to our hotel.
And was that your last day in Costa Rica, or did you have another?
Unfortunately, the day after that we had to drive to the airport and fly back to Panama. So it was the
Uh,
last day.
so now that you're looking back on your trip, what's like the thing that they really reminisce?
All of it was exciting and it was so diverse, as we said before, in terms of the activities that we did, the places that we saw. I think one of the most memorable experiences is definitely the zip lining in the park, but also the rafting that we did in La Fortuna and exploring
Uh, the
the
volcano.
volcano area.
I guess one of them was special.
It's hard to pick. It's really hard to pick.
Okay.
It depends if you, for people that are, let's say, more into adrenaline and adventure activities, then definitely the La Fortuna area is the best. If you want to have more of a relaxing holiday, then head down to the beaches, and the Manuel Antonio area is definitely one that we will remember.
Yeah. Was there something that you planned to do and you couldn't do during this week-long trip that you took?
I think the only thing that we didn't do was the crossing the lake from La Fortuna to Monteverde because of the timing. That's the only thing that we didn't manage to do, and we wish we had done because I think the journey would have been much nicer as well, as opposed to doing it all in the car, especially on the bumpy road. So that's the only thing that we didn't manage to do. But we also wish we had spent more time in each of the locations. For instance, even in and around La Fortuna, like visiting some of the old hot springs or doing some more activities there.
You need another trip to revisit
Or,
some of these spots and then see more of Costa Rica.
or
We covered this a little bit earlier, but let's come back to discuss the places that you stayed at. In the La Fortuna area, you were in a hotel, you mentioned.
Yeah, we stayed at Real Manoa. It's a very nice hotel. They're on the hot springs. There's a pool. They have a lot of trees, and most of the rooms they have a direct view of the volcano. That is
Hmm.
what we like the most of our room and our stay.
yeah, they also have a spa and different pool areas as well. So in addition to the hot springs, they have two different pools that are accessible for also for people with disabilities, for children as well. And we like the fact that it was quite spread out. We usually prefer to stay in more like resort type hotels as opposed to these big hotels. And what we liked here is that every room was like a chalet. So it wasn't really a hotel. It was more like little chalet style rooms. You could just walk out on your porch and see the beautiful volcano views.
Sounds like a beautiful place, especially if you also had a view of the volcano and you could walk around on your property. So, did you enjoy your stay here?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. We actually wish we had spent more time here. So
And did you also have any meals there at the hotel?
We had dinner at the hotel because during the day, usually the company is providing the daily activities. They provide also lunch. So we had
Oh,
dinner and the food is amazing.
Right.
What we liked in this hotel, they had the different bigger menu. So they can cater to all the requirements, the daily requirements. It's not something that is very common yet.
mm.
And we love the area, the restaurant. As you remember, you had these big trees just in front of the restaurant. The birds go and sleep at night. So you would have your dinner with all these parade of birds sleeping in front of you. Was much better.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
and in the morning, you would have breakfast overlooking the volcano as well. So it was quite beautiful in terms of the restaurants as well, not just the food.
So beautiful views all around. That's great. Yeah. So, what about the second one, which was in Monteverde? That was an Airbnb or just a B&B?
Stay there in a bed and breakfast. It's called the Bed Cruise. And it's one, let's say, normal bed and breakfast run by family. And of course, being a bed and breakfast, it's not a posh resort, but we love the energy of the family. It's a family run business. They were also really kind and attentive. And we asked for instance, in the evening, we needed your dinner for the bed or pillow, they would rush and immediately cater for our needs. And the meals were special because we understood the son of the owner studies culinary arts. So we had the chance to try some Costa Rican cuisine, where a three-star Michelin method of cooking and presentation. So it was something unique that we weren't expecting to find in a simple B&B.
The only thing that we should point out is the fact that because it's a small family run business and also the restaurant, let's say, caters only to the guests, you need to book in advance. For instance, if you want to have dinner at their place, you need to inform them at least 2-3 hours in advance and also place your order so that they can prepare the food because they don't want to overstock. So they need to actually, they go and they get the ingredients and everything on the day to make sure that it's fresh. So you have to tell them well in advance that you want to have dinner and also what you want to eat.
Did you like any of the Costa Rican dishes that you had there? Or any that you
Yes.
remember?
My favorite is asado. It's of the simple traditional rice and beans. I had the rice and beans every day. Quite simple, filling, and really tasty. I tried to replicate it here with the rice and beans. Doesn't taste as good as in Costa Rica.
Because I take meat, so it's a bit difficult for me to usually find variety of food. But I think Costa Rica is really good at that because with rice and beans, you can survive all the time. But I did have some very good fish as well. The fish that they prepared for us was really delicious.
That's great that you were able to find good food at the place where you were staying. So that's pretty convenient also.
Yes.
And then what about the last one, the hotel in Manuel Antonio?
Manuel Antonio was staying outside named the Sun by the beach. And we like it because Manuel Antonio is an area where there are a lot of hills and this hotel is on top of the hill. So in the evening, you can see a beautiful sunset over the sea. And they have a kind of private beach or a beach that you can reach from the hotel. And it's a 5 minutes walk down the hill. So it was really nice. The restaurant, we like the food. The portions were huge. Be careful. Portions are huge. I got spot with a fresh fish and was massive.
Yeah, they're almost a full lobster.
Almost like a lobster. Prices are there okay, even though the food, the quality was high, the portions were high. And
Yeah, I think we really enjoyed the stay there because it was also a great location. So we had incredible views of the sunset from there as well. It also has two different pools. So there's one only for adults where they serve happy hour cocktails. And then you also have the possibility to access the beach. Like Andrea said, it's not really private, like other people can access it as well, but you do have a direct access. And from there, you can rent kayaks and explore the area, or you can just rent a sound lounger.
Still, to pay attention to the monkeys. So when you check in, the first thing that the team tells you is be careful, close, lock the windows. Don't leave the window open because monkeys understood and learned that inside the rooms there's food. So in the mornings they would up and try to open the windows. And I saw them with my own eyes. I woke up, I looked outside to see the weather, and there was a monkey trying to enter.
So there's lots of wildlife, but you need to be careful around
Yeah.
it too. So it sounds like all three of your stays were pretty good. You enjoyed your stay at all three of them.
Yes.
Yeah, we initially, when we reached out to the tour operator for our trip, he had suggested different accommodations. But we wanted to make sure that the places where we stay are really enjoyable and they're comfortable and they have good amenities. So we ended up booking the accommodations ourselves. We did some research on booking.com and TripAdvisor. We just picked the ones that we thought were the most, let's say, good value for money as well. And also what available because we ended up booking quite last minute. So just a few weeks before we traveled. So, but we were happy with the choices.
You got lucky with the ones you picked as well, even though they were last
Yes.
minute. Yeah.
Information. What we noticed, as Mara said, we booked through travel agency, a local travel agency. Usually we like to work operators from within the country. So this is also to help the local economy, to help maybe someone who is not a big name to make a living. However, we noticed that most of the trips organized, they were provided by the hotels where we were staying. So there's an opportunity to book the hotel that you like the most and contacting the hotel to have the daily activities organized directly by them. This might save some money. And also the logistics might be a bit easier because everything is handled by the hotel where you're staying at.
Yeah, and you can trust them as well more easily because you know that they'll be aware of who to pick and what's good for their guests. Definitely.
Exactly.
At this point, I'd love to know what would be your tips or advice for someone who's traveling to Costa Rica for first time.
First, I will start with a packing list. You definitely need insect repellent. You might want to take with you a binocular and a camera with lenses, zoom lens, because you want to take nice photos of the wildlife. And the
Okay.
binocular is very useful to check and spot animals and the flowers. So this is a very important tool to take.
And I think one of the other things, as Andrea mentioned, make sure to book directly with the hotels or with individual tour operators. It ends up being a lot more cost effective. And to make sure to book well in advance because we did end up booking things quite last minute and either had to deal with limited availability or with higher prices. And Costa Rica is a very popular tourist destination, particularly for US travelers, for instance. It does get quite busy, especially during the peak travel seasons. So definitely well in advance and do your research, look up the tour operators, check their reviews, check the hotels as well to make sure that what you're signing up for.
I'm curious to know, did you face any issues with language while you were there, or were people quite fluent in English and you were able to manage well?
In Costa Rica,
Yeah, in Costa Rica, because it's such a popular tourist destination, they're very well prepared, I think, to receive tourists. And most of the people that are dealing with tourists speak English. I do speak a bit of Spanish. So whenever we needed to communicate, for instance, with drivers who might not be so fluent in English, we were able to get by with my basic Spanish. But I think it's not an issue for people that don't speak Spanish because majority of the people that are interacting with tourists would speak it in any case.
And what about water? Were you able to drink tap water or did you have to buy water, like plastic bottle at the time when you were there?
I drank top water from the bed and breakfast because they are sure that it's a clean water from the river or the lake and it's safe to drink.
I have a bit more precaution with these things. Not precaution, caution. With water, and I only drank bottled water, but I think Costa Rica is probably one of the countries that has. But of course, if people have sensitive stomachs or they just want to be on the safe side, it's best to stick with bottled water.
Makes sense. Any other tips that you would have?
We said earlier that in the Manuel Antonio, remember to go with official guide from the park. You are
Yeah.
sure to pay less and you are sure of high quality service delivered. This is imperative. And what we know, we booked everything like the transportations. We had the driver, we had a minivan. So everything was done for us. We noticed many people driving around. The roads are not always great, but we saw a lot of people driving around. Google Maps seems working relatively well. If you need to go from A to B, maybe you need half an hour more, but it's really doable. So if you are on a budget, some will say you can rent a car, book directly your hotels, book directly your activities, and you can really cut costs significantly.
One other piece of advice, of course, as Andrea mentioned, the weather can be quite moody. So make sure that you have a rain jacket with you or an umbrella, especially in the Arenal and Monteverde area, which is, let's say, in the mountains and it rains more often, just to be prepared. But other than that, it's really an easy country to travel to, we found, because they're quite well prepared, as I said, to receive tourists. They have good infrastructure. You can easily get around. So it's one of those countries that I think even for people that don't have a lot of experience traveling by themselves, they can definitely go and do it on their own. It's quite safe as well, of course, keeping in mind necessary precautions just to watch your surroundings.
Another thing that they are usually asked if there's a need to exchange money in the local currency. We use almost exclusively US dollars. There are many US travelers, the people reason in dollars. We had actually to look for a restaurant to accept our local currency because we exchanged just $100 just in case. But we paid everywhere cards or US dollars. And we exchanged all day because we didn't want to waste time. And of course, we know big mistake, the airport's rates are not really favorable. So if you want to exchange money, go in the city, go somewhere where a local recommends to get better rates.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's quite convenient that, yeah, you can use US dollars over there throughout your trip. Those are all pretty good tips and suggestions that you guys have. Well, with that, I think I've come to an end of all the questions that I had about Costa Rica. So thank you so much for sharing about your trip. It was really great listening to you and seeing Costa Rica through your eyes.
Thank you so much for having us over. We hope that your viewers find our itinerary useful, and we definitely encourage people to go and visit Costa Rica. It's one of the most beautiful countries we've been to. You won't be disappointed.
I certainly hope that the information will be useful for those who are traveling and planning their trips to Costa Rica. So with that, we'll sign off for today. Thank you so much, Andre and Mara.
Thank you.
Bye.